Hello students, in this video what we are trying to do is to investigate this concept known as central tendencies in statistics, right? So what are central tendencies? Basically what it means is that if we have a certain set of data, right, some values, we want to find a value that best represents all this information. So it is some kind of a value that's central, okay, to all these values that we are going to collect. I mean, in a very layman term, that's really what central tendencies tend to represent. But in statistics, we want it to be a bit more meaningful. And depending on the type of data that we collect, there are three types of central tendencies that we are going to actually talk about today, right? And they are the mean, the median, and the mode. I'm sure your teachers can actually have a discussion with you on when we are going to use mean, when we are going to use median, and when we are going to use mode. They are useful in different contexts and in its own rights, right? So, but we're going to learn the technique to actually find each of these mean, median, and mode. Now, besides doing that, what this video aims to do, as you can see, okay, other than just using this application, which is a Google Sheet that I have over here, to find the mean, median, and mode, we are going to actually go through the process which we actually find these values, these central tendencies, manually, the traditional method, if you will, right? So if we do not have the use of technology and we are going to calculate the mean, median, and mode um, in the traditional way without technology, this is the same thought process that we're going to go through. So you can see I have two columns here, right? Traditional method and applying technology. So we are going to do both of them. Okay, what we hope to achieve here is that it will reinforce our understanding of how mean, median, and mode each of them works, so that we can remember it better. All right. So let's begin. So over here we can see the example is the heights of a group of basketball players. We actually measured them in meters, record it down, rounded off to two significant figures. So it's not a very complicated set of data. And what we want to do is from this set of data, we are going to calculate the mean, median, and mode. So let's begin with mean. What exactly is mean? Mean, okay, means to actually sum up or add up all the values of the data that we have collected and divide it with what we call the total frequency. So in this particular example and this particular context, the sum of the data is actually the total heights. We are going to measure and add up all the heights, right? And the total frequency is how many of these heights actually occur, right? So it depends on the number of players. So the total frequency here is the number of players. So how do we actually do it? We're going to do it in the traditional way. We're going to just count. Now, of course, having technology with us, we don't actually have to manually count it. There's a way to just automate this whole process, okay, by making use of this function over here, right? So what I'm going to do is I have these tabs here, which I have actually done it before I begin recording, okay? And let's take a look at this, right? So over here, to get the mean, I want to count the number of players. I'm going to put my cursor over here. And you can see up here, the formula is over there, okay, or the function, right? So what it says is equals, okay, the equal symbol here means me telling the applications that I want you to do some calculations. And what calculations are we doing? We are going to count A, that means count, okay, A, and E3 to E13 is this range over here. Count if there is a value there. Okay, now why do we do that rather than just manually counting 11? Because I have 11 players here. Some of them can leave the team. I may have new players joining the team. My total number of players could change. And if we use a function like this, okay, it automates the process whether I keep adding data or I remove data, right? And it's going to be very useful, especially depending on the context of your problem. You may have hundreds of data and it's constantly changing. Then this automation is actually very useful and it's good to learn them. Okay, so we have this, teach this to you, right? So we have that, we get the total frequency. To get a total height, okay, again, I'm going to click on this cell. You can check out, okay, and pause the video and take a look if you need to, for those of you who are unfamiliar. Okay, so to add them all up, I use the function known as sum, right? So equals sum, again, from the range of E3 to E13. I use the semicolon here to actually indicate that I want this entire area. Okay, so from here, I have the total height and the number of players. In order to get a mean, it's just the simple process of telling the software, take whatever is inside E16, which is 20.2, and divide by whatever is inside E15, which is 11. So after doing that, it returns 1.84. I've already preset it to actually show two decimal place so that it gives us three significant figures. The actual value is actually not this. In this particular example, it has been rounded off. So don't be alarmed if you try this on your own and you get something different. But if you round it off to three significant figures, you should get 1.84 over here, right? So this is the process in the traditional sense of how we actually calculate the mean. We look for the total frequency, we look for the total sum of the values, and then take the total sum divided by total frequency to get the mean, right? Now, of course, technology, we have this wonderful software. Okay, there's actually a function that allow us to straight away get our mean. And I'm sure some of you may find the mean quite familiar already, because finding the mean uses exactly the same methods that we use in primary school to find the average, right? So if I select this, you will see, right? Again, equals, the equal symbol means to tell the application that I'm using a function over here. Average from F3 to F13. So they're going to average all this up and it gives me the same value as the mean. All good? Okay, I hope you learned something here. So now let us move on to the next segment, which is on median. Now, median, what is median? Median works this way. If I have some data that I've collected, and to find the median, I'm going to arrange them in ascending order or descending order, but it's more common to arrange it in ascending order, and then find the value that is in the middle position. So that is the median. Okay, so the first rule about median is that we need to arrange the information, which is why if you look at the screen now, okay, the segment, okay, over here is blank and I have it highlighted in a nice blue color, because I cannot just port the information over. I need to sort it, and I just leave it blank so that I can demonstrate to you how you can actually sort the values, right? If you do not already know how to do it. So let's take a look. Let's come to here, right? So in this step, we're going to put the median in, right? So to put the median in, again, the same set of values, the heights of the basketball players, I'm going to copy it. And then because I want to keep the formatting, I like the nice bright blue color background. So I'm going to paste special, only the values, right? There we have it. But it's not sorted yet, right? So how do we sort it in ascending order? Well, to sort it in ascending order, okay, with it still highlighted, go to data, sort range, and then select the first one from A to Z. A to Z means ascending order, Z to A, it will give you a descending order. So just select it, okay, and you see, there we go, it's arranged in ascending order, right? So only when it is arranged, okay, in ascending order like this, then it makes sense for us to proceed to find the median. Okay, now the next segment is interesting. Okay, First of all, we need to know the number of players. So same technique. I'm going to go equals count A and then the range of values here. So the software has counted for me 11 players over here. But you see, when we are trying to find the median, whether the total frequency is even or odd will make a difference. For example, if I have let's say 5 values, I arrange them in order. The third value is going to be in the middle position. It's quite clear cut. So if my total number of values is odd, is an odd number, it's quite obvious. It is that value in the center. However, if I only have 4 values, well, if I have 4 values, which one is in the center? I have the second value and the third value both in the center. So I actually have 2 values in the center. Therefore, if the median is, if the total number of frequency is even, then the way we calculate the median is to find the two values that is in the middle and find their average. So there's this extra process that needs to take place, right? So let's see how it works. So over here, we have already seen 11 players. And then I down here in the next box, okay, or the next cell, I actually want to automate the process of the application, telling me whether is that an odd number or even number. So in this case, it tells me odd. Look, okay, so I've selected. You can look at the formulas again, the function. Okay, let me break it up for you. You can pause the video to try to examine it to see if you can understand it. But if not, let me try to explain it to you. Again, I put the equal symbol to say that, okay, applications, you need to do some calculation for me. And what I want them to do, okay, I'm going to look at this value 11, which is actually in the cell I15. That's the address, right? I15. So you can see here, I'm going to check whether this I15, whether it is an odd number. So it is 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 ODD odd, is odd. So if this value is odd, I want them to print out the word odd for me. And I put them in quotation so that they just print out the word odd for me, right? And then I'm going to ask again, if, okay, this value in I15, which is 11, is it even, right? This is even. That means, is it even? If it is even, then print out the word even for me. Otherwise, okay, leave it blank. Okay, so if I have quotation marks like this, you're telling the software to say, okay, just leave it blank. That's what it means. Okay, so there we have it, right? So down here, 11 players, you see, is odd. To test it out, if I'm going to remove one row of information, that means now the number of players is going to be 10. It shows me even, right? 10 players even. Okay, so that's what's happening, right? So let's put it back. Okay, so now that we establish whether it is odd or even, I need to find the median if it is odd or median if it is even. Okay, different, right? So down here, of course, it shows both 1.8. That's because of coincidence. It depends on your data. They can be different. Okay, so let's see what happens if it's odd. So because earlier we mentioned if it is odd, it's quite straightforward. If I have 5 values, the third value is in the center, right? Is the median. So how do I get 3 from 5 values? Well, to get that 3, I take 5, which is the total frequency. I just need to add 1, which gives me 6, divide by 2, which gives me 3, which is the position of the median value, right? So I add 1, divide by 2. So if I'm going to put my cursor over here, okay, let me explain this, okay, this portion here. Again, I put equals, that means computer, come do some calculations for me, right? Then we have VLOOKUP. So what I'm saying is, look up this value for me. What value am I looking for? I'm looking for the value where you take the total frequency, which is I15, plus 1, right? And then divide by 2. So I've already explained why I plus 1, then divide by 2. So I'm saying, okay, look up this value where I take the total frequency plus 1 divided by 2. So in this case, 11 players plus 1, 12 divided by 2, 6. I want you to look for the value in the 6th position, right? That will be my median. So lookup 6, okay, in this segment over here from H3 to I13. So H3 to I13 is over here. So down here, okay, they look at this set of values and they say, oh, 6 is over here, right? 6 is over here. So I found 6, right? Which is what my lookup does. Okay, I found 6. And then after that, what happened? You give me the value in the second column, which give me 1.8. Because 1.8 is the median, not 6. 6 is the position. Okay, this 1 to 11 is a position. I put it here so that we can see how this thing works, right? So let's take a look at the formula again. Okay, so we look up the 6, the number 6 here, the 6th position, right? In this segment, the 2 here represents the second column. Give me the value in the second column. So this is what this function does, and it works perfectly fine in this case. It gives me the median if it is odd. Now, how about the median if it is even? Remember, the median if it is even, we actually have two values that is in the center, and we find their average. So let me put my cursor here, and let's see what happens. Well, first, okay, I'm going to VLOOKUP, and then I'm going to take whatever the total frequency is divided by 2. Why? Because earlier we mentioned that a simple example, if I have 4 values, the second and the third value is in the center, right? So if the total number of values I have is 4, I just divide it by 2, I get 2, right? So 2 is one of the values in the center. If I have 6 values, then the third and fourth is in the center. Divided by 2, I get the third one, right? So over here, I just straight away take the total frequency divided by 2. So in this case, okay, I'm hunting down this one, okay. But you see 5.5 here because actually my example here, I have an odd number of players. So just to give some clarity, maybe I'll remove a row first. Now I have 10 values, right? So if I look at this information now, okay, VLOOKUP, okay, this value over here is going to be 10 divided by 2, 5. So I'm looking for the 5th position. So the 5th position is here, 5th position. Again, return me the second column, which is 1.8. So this portion here, the value is actually 1.8. And then I'm going to do a VLOOKUP again. This time round, okay, this is still 5 because total number 10 divided by 5. But the next number, right? The next number is actually still in the center. So I plus 1, this time around 6. So I have my 5th position and the 6th position. Same thing. Look for the 6 in the same segment, okay, and return the value in the second column. Okay, so in this case, it is still 1.8. Okay, so I have this value 1.8 here, this value 1.8 here. What I'm going to do, I add them up. That's why you see the plus here. I add them up. Okay, put your parentheses, your bracket. Okay, add them up first, then divide by 2. So I found the average of these two values, and that is how we get the median if it is even. Okay, so let me just put this back. Okay, so finally the median in this case, okay, if I put my cursor here, you can see if, okay, it is odd, right? I check, right, this box here. If it is odd, then my median is this value here at I18, which is here, right? And if my value is my total frequency is even, then give me 19, I19. Okay, so this is the thought process of how we find the median. Arrange them in ascending order, right? Check whether it is odd or even, the total frequency. If it is odd, well, take the total frequency plus 1 divided by 2, find the middle position, that is your median. If it is even, okay, I divide by 2 first, I have one number, and then I look at the next value, 2 numbers, find their average. That is the process. And of course, this software is powerful enough, you can actually ask them to calculate the median for you. Okay, but one important thing to note for median is that you have to make sure your values are actually arranged in proper ascending order in this case. Okay, so that is the median. Finally, let's talk about the mode. The mode simply means give me the value, okay, that has the highest frequency. That means the value that occurs the most numbers of times. right? So let's check it out here. Okay, so in this case, I have my values over here, and I realize that my values, I have some 1.6, some 1.7, some 1.8, some 1.9, some 2.0. So if I look at my formula here, okay, what this formula does is this, right? It says, okay, if, okay, equals here, count if, and okay, count if, then this is the range of value I want it to look at, in this case M3 to M13, which is the value set over here. So count if the value is 1.6. So what it does is that it looks at all the values here, count how many times 1.6 occur, and put the number here. So if you look at it manually, you'll find that there's only exactly one instance of 1.6. So that's what we have over here. So repeat the process for 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2.0. So you can see there's 4 instances of 1.8, 3 instances of 1.9, 2 instances of 2.0. So count each of this, how many times each of them occur. Okay, so the mode, if the number of values is not very large, it is quite easy to count. Okay, the challenge is when the number of the number of values is huge, then there are some other techniques involved, and that's what our statistician actually look into. So we can talk about that in another occasion. Okay, so down here I have 1 instances of 1.6, 1 of 1.7, 4 copies of 1.8, 3 copies of 1.9, 2 copies of 2.0. So that's what I have. So the next thing I want to do is I want to look at all this and figure out which one occurs the most number of times, right? So obviously it is 4. But how do we automate this process? Well, if I put my cursor here, you can see, right? If I put equals max, and then from M15 to M19, which is all this that I've counted, and they tell me that the value of 4 is the highest over here. So it says that this value of 4 is the highest highest count. That means this value next to 4, 1.8, is going to be my mode. So how do I automate the process? Again, I do use my VLOOKUP. I'm going to look up M21, right? M21 is this value here, the maximum, the highest frequency, 4 in this case, right? Look for this 4 in this segment over here, okay, in this section over here, okay, and I found it here, and then return me the value in the second column. So this is the value in the second column. Now notice that I have something different from the VLOOKUP that I use when I'm calculating median, and I have this false over here. Why? Because if you look at the hint over here, it says is sorted. I put false is because the values I'm looking at, they may not be sorted, right? So we can do this. We don't have to actually sort it out. So if you put false, means telling the computer that no, these values are not sorted. So you need to really check for me properly. Okay. If I didn't put any values here, they're going to assume that the values are sorted, just like what we did in the median. So that's how we use the VLOOKUP function over here. Okay. So by doing that, okay, return me the value 1.8, which is the mode. Okay, so of course, yeah, we can of course just tell them give me the mode, but the reason why we go through all this process, like I said, I want you to try it, because it allows us to strengthen our understanding of how mean, median, and mode is actually calculated in the traditional sense, because it allows us to have a better understanding of what it is all about. Okay, so this is the lesson that I have for you on mean, median, and mode. I'm sure your teachers will now actually have another set of instructions on what you need to do, right? So take care. Have a nice day.